Well, what I wanted to ask you is what's been the hardest part of the job of river running for you?
Oh, the hardest part, you mean now? Well, the hardest part now, of course, you have to remember that I was used to, for 25 years I run the Grand on my own. There was nothing down there. And so it was like my own land and my own setting to get the people through safely and happily, which I did because I like people. And you will hear a lot of people say the fact that I like them, even to Dick, that I do happen to be the one who likes people and want them to be happy. And I used to spend all my time thinking of different things to do and jokes to do, and then I led all hikes. I did everything like this, wanting the people because I could do a better job than a lot because I like the people. And so then I used a lot of finesse. If somebody looked tired, why I would say, let's sit down while I take some pictures. I really wouldn't want a picture, but I didn't want to play it that we're waiting on those people. I didn't want to make them feel that they were holding everything up. So I just got the people, and I did take pictures I didn't particularly need, just so they wouldn't realize I was waiting on them, because I wanted them to go. And so I would do lots of things like this, and then the people would feel so good with themselves, and not feel they were holding everything up. But I would never make it a point that they, were doing this or that. And so I had always liked people, and that was the main thing. But as things got busier, and you do have to have some rules, don't mistake me, with so many people. You do have to have toilets and all that, there's no if. But yet, with so many rules and so much more you have to do now, and regulations, you worry more about this than you do making the people happy. Because somehow then the word fun, I said to one of the rangers, where'd that word fun and enjoy go to? You say wilderness trip, but we're not talking about fun and enjoyment, which is what people need and want. They, want to get away from the everyday world. And I said, you take a lot of people, a lawyer and all this, they don't come out really for educational. They come out for something fun, enjoyment, and adventure, really. They are not coming out for any other purpose. They're not coming out really for an educational trip and just a lecture on geology. That may be fine when you're going through and you tell them different things that's of interest, but don't try to sit them down at night when they're tired and tell them, because they'll probably go to sleep on you. You may not know it, but they're blinking their eyes. Because I watch them all the time. When I used to show film, I watched people, and boy, if it didn't look like they were well and wide awake, even if they'd worked all day, then I shortened that film or I did something in order to break it, because I didn't want anybody. And my sister used to be real good, because then she'd be tired by night. And as she looked at this, and she'd start to get disinterested, I'd know then and there, you better cut this or that. So I used to go by her a lot.
What's been the best part of the river for you?
Oh, the best part always for me, because I enjoy everything. I enjoy the boatman. I enjoy setting up the boats. It's more like a family in my trips. We're more like one big family. See, I have my boatman for years. I mean, it's not come and go. I don't have them now and then. I mean, when I have them, I like them for the years. And then they have their other jobs, too, that's of importance, so that they just don't dominate. They are not out here just business-like, because mine all have other jobs that they work at, and then this is their vacation as well, and that makes them want to make people happy, because then they hear from these people, they get long letters, they get invitations to come to their home all the time, and they keep up a conversation and writing all the time. These people do all the time, and so it makes it a lot different than where it's just a business and people go, because they can sense the difference when there's their enjoyment too in a job. There is a sense of difference there. And so then the people, I like the people too, and I like it to keep it, and that's why I go on the river and kept my quota small. And I like to keep the people more personal, more of a personal thing, not just a commercial trip. In fact, I don't like the word very well ever. I don't like to even mention anything commercial if I can do it, and I won't like even the rangers collecting a fee this year down at Lee's Ferry, because then this brings in commercial again. Whereas late, when all the boats were gone, I didn't have any of this when they were getting on my boats. all the boats were gone. I just had my boats, and then we passed people, but that's different because my people liked to see them, and they'd wave wildly at them and all this, more companionship. Then I get my people to learn to sing songs as they go down the river, and we usually sing at everybody we pass because I try to get them to all the time because it just makes for more fun. And so other people know this too, that when I go by, we usually sing some song or something and show them, and they get a big kick out of it. So I like the people, really. I still like the people. I just wish I had more time for what time they got, because the people don't have the time now. So for the time I have, I wish I didn't have to pay quite so much attention to be sure that all rules and regulations are so-so. Because remember, most of the rules were taken off of my boat to begin with on first aid and everything anyhow. Because remember, I survived on my own with nobody for 25 years.
They do want, how come you think they want shorter trips now, huh?
Well, people, they don't have the time because jobs are that way. Jobs are that way to where that they get more time off, but shorter trips rather than longer time. And then more people are fitted for it now. The average person now, and regardless of how you want to put it, because they're not accustomed to it, my people that go 6 days, actually, it's long enough for most people. I have a lot of 8-day people, but for a lot of people, a 6-day is enough because they're just not accustomed to being out. They're not used to sleeping on the ground. They're not used to not having the privacy of their own bathroom, particularly women. And your people have changed in that way. And 6-day people you never have because they don't have time. We keep them busy enough that those 6 days go real fast. And then they don't have time to do anything. You never have any complaint or nothing. But then on the lower part, let's admit it, now you got sandbars, it's slow, and you do have heat. And I put it flat. I don't lie about anything. If you read my brochure, you won't find no cover-ups in it. I don't put anything glorious at all to say that we got this mighty rapids when they're not mighty. And so I tell the truth because you come out better. And you put it as companionship and all on the bottom. It's an introduction to whitewater. We don't say it isn't the Grand Canyon, and it is an introduction, get acquainted how we do things, and this sort of thing. Because that 8-day, a lot of people in them last 2 days, and they admit it later, that they liked the trip, but knowing that they did get so tired the last 2, or after the rapids, like lava is a climax, then you don't have these big rapids. And then that is a climax. If they've gone to 6, then it is, they like the companionship, but not for too long because then it is a letdown. Yeah. And your camps are not as good. Yeah. And so that's what I told the ranger, even up the South Rim when he was talking about, wasn't it better to go all the way? And I said, no, not for the people this day and age. Because for most of them, and most of them will tell you so themselves, you don't have to take my word, that the 6th day they like the best.
Did you ever keep count of how many trips you've done?
Oh, no. See, I didn't count in my day. You just got who you could take, and I was out there all year. And for the years, you never thought of such thing. That came in really when they started to make so many trips for boatmen, so many trips for a leader, and that is where that really mostly came in, that they started keeping track of trips. I never thought of keeping track of anything. And, of course, I, much more than the average, don't like to write, don't like any detail. When my sister was living, she handled any business, and she could always, because she was on everything with me, and I never even wrote a check because I didn't have, didn't have to be bothered to sign them. I didn't do any of that. And that was wonderful because just since she passed away now, of course, I do and pay the bills. But I miss that, too, because I had become accustomed to being, she helped me be very carefree because I didn't have to do none of that.
Is there any one trip that you ever did that stands out as being your favorite?
Well, the one I did, oddly enough, though, was not in the Grand Canyon. It was in Mexico, in the Rio Grande Santiago, because I hadn't been there. They were building a dam. And then when I decided to go after the dam was built, then I always went down in August, and they were having big rains there. And then they had left the all the gates were open, big flood, and they said they were going to close them all, which they did. When I come in, and we put then we got the boats ready to go. But it's a long story to tell. But everything about that whole trip, from the beginning to end, was unbelievable, even to me, and I'm used to everything. And to me, it happened so fast and with such speed that that you just couldn't believe, it happened so completely fast. As I've said, it's an unbelievable trip. And it was the first trip I ever took women on in Mexico because of it being so rough, and you have the alligators and crocodiles some spots. And when I went in August, while your landings were not silt, they were like mud. And so that women didn't like that. And you do have the bugs there, and there's no if and and. And so then I didn't take women. So then after the dam, well, of course, then it was going to be changed. And so one of the men said, Georgie, I'm tired of this all-man trip down here. You've been on this so many times now. It's a milk run to you, even before the dam. So now let's take some women. So, okay, this is the first time I had women. And then this is when they turned the dam loose on us. Just when we're starting, we haven't even got anywhere. For we're a mile down the river, we got all kind of problems right then, including me, because I'm under with the motor, because I hadn't had the boat pumped up. We weren't ready to go. A couple of the Mexicans threw the ropes in, shoved us, said, you got to go, they're opening the dam. We didn't have the boats tight enough. We didn't want to do that the last thing. And I had the little bitty boats, but I had the motor on them. I tried to start the motor and thought, well, I can get back to land to finish getting rigged here. And then it turned me underneath because it was soft with the motor. And then one boat went up in the air onto the other boat, and the girl went off. And this is within the first half mile. And this is the water. We were only 500 foot below the dam. And this is the whole thing coming. And this was a trip. And, of course, there's no pictures on a thing like this, because we were just finishing getting ready, and they threw the ropes in, and there's nothing. All you do is hang on for life. And so probably the most that trip that I can think of no equal, no pictures, because there was no time, no nothing. And of course the camera got wet and everything else, but this time, because you weren't prepared that you were going to have such a fast takeoff, and not with a dam on top of you. But everything about that trip, and I told people on the trip, don't tell your grandkids anything about this, because they'll think you slipped a marble. Yeah, if you try to tell me anything like this, they'll be just thinking, oh boy, they're slipping somewhere. So I said, you just better keep it to yourself unless you're talking to somebody else who was on the trip, because they can't believe the things that happened. Orville Miller was on it, that was up here. And boy, he was so scared of that. Afterwards, I got him back on that river once, and gosh, it was just a mill pond, sandbars. But he was so scared of it that he just said, even though it's a sandbar trip, I don't want to go on it again, because somehow I'm still cared from being on the dam. And then I didn't get nobody else that went on that trip for all. They were old-time river rats. They'd went on the Grand different times with me. And I called the one doctor up who'd been on lots of trips. And I said to him, well, are you ready for another river trip the next year? For all he survived was fine. Nobody got drowned or anything. Everybody survived. And he said, do you know what? He said, when I even take a shower now, I wear a life preserver. So, but that is quite a long story, and that to really be fully told. And every minute, it's the happenings is unbelievable.
Have you ever? We should stop. Just, or do you think we should?
Well, whatever.
Well, I'm just if it is.
Yeah, I do need to get back now.
Yeah,
Because of course I can go on forever naturally.
Well, let's stop.
Since I've been out there forever, I can go on forever.